What's good, everybody? In this episode, I want to break down 3 ways that you can make your agency more scalable and more profitable. Let's get it going.
For 3 years, my agency built funnels and automation systems for the biggest names in marketing today. Since then, I've transformed that agency into a hyper-profitable training and consulting business. While everyone is out there talking about scale like it's some sort of destination, we'll be asking the real question. How do you transform your business into a more scalable model using the knowledge, skills, and expertise that you already have? This podcast is here to give you the answer. Join me and follow along as I learn, apply, and share the strategies I'm using to build my multi-million-dollar business. My name is Greg Hickman, and welcome to Scalable.
So in this video, I want to talk about 3 ways that you can make your agency more scalable and more profitable. Now, I have been kind of through various versions of our agency all the way through now to having training and coaching. And I just had the opportunity to go and speak with a bunch of the certified partners and referral partners for ActiveCampaign, which is a marketing automation tool that we use, our clients use, and that a lot of agencies either are using or should be using to really streamline their sales, their marketing, and their fulfillment. Anyway, so we're there, and I had the opportunity to sit in front of a room of digital agency owners, right? From people doing website development to automation and funnels to paid traffic to different sorts of tech implementation. And we were talking through how they were going about growing their business, both from a sales perspective and the challenges of being able to fulfill on all of the requests. And we really got into talking about what they could be doing to make their business more profitable, more scalable, so that they're not really working late into the evenings and even into the weekends just to take on that one extra client to make a little bit more money. And really what it comes down to and is an opportunity that I see for a lot of digital agency owners. And I actually am going to kind of share my screen here and kind of draw with you here. So like right now, I think there's a challenge with the way most agencies, digital agencies specifically, have gone about growing their business, and many of them reach the wall, maybe this, or hit a wall, and maybe this is you. And in this scenario, we have, you're growing your business and you have a certain amount of expenses, right? Maybe you're contracting certain people and you have a couple contractors that help you, or maybe an assistant or whatever that helps you with the fulfillment. So this is your expenses, right? And you go out there and you sell projects or you sell retainers, whatever you're selling, and that's obviously generating your revenue. But after all of the expenses, there's really only a tiny bit of profit left. Okay? Like there's in many cases, for many of the owners that we were speaking with, there was little money left over to even pay themselves. But the challenge here, with this being the situation for them, where they have all these expenses, they're getting contractors, they're doing the fulfillment, right? They get a new client, sales and marketing stop, they jump into fulfillment, and they're doing the work, right? Oftentimes, if this is you're the one doing the actual fulfillment, and thus obviously not doing any sort of generating prospects or sales or any of that. And so you have little money to show for it, but the real challenge ends up being over here in the fact that you're like, if this is your capacity, you're like maxed out. Like you're like overflowing. You have no more bandwidth really to take on any more clients. And there's a lot of reasons for this, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But what I've found to really ring true for a lot of folks, and this was us at one point too, is the fact that, right, so you have all this capacity, and the only way to like make more money is to, obviously add one more client, or another client. But in order to do that, you then go into working evenings and or weekends, right? You're like, all right, well, cool. I can like take in the work. I can work on it on my own time in the evening. I can get back to them next week. And you start just filling up the tank even more, which leads to a lot of, this overflow, and you start to burn out. And you burn out really quickly. And the reality is that this nature of done for you work is really smart to get started, but caps out quickly. And maybe you felt this, right? Maybe you felt this because you're like, all right, cool, I just need one more client and I can hit the next level of revenue goals. You add that one client. You're like, all right, well, in order to do that, I got to add this next client, and now I'm working evenings and weekends. And what ends up happening is all you're doing is working on your client's business, right? There's no time for you to even work on your own sales and your own marketing, right? It's the classic case of the cobbler's kids have no shoes. So if that's you, that's a huge problem, right? Because you can only actually work with so many clients at a given time. And if you're already not making enough money doing that, and adding one or two more clients now fills it even more, you have no time to work on your own business, right? And you have like a cap on how much revenue you can actually generate, right? So you might look right now and say, even if I were to add two more clients at what you're charging right now, you're still not actually paying yourself what you want to be paying yourself because of how you conduct business, right? Your revenue comes in and it's washed out pretty much evenly by most of your expenses, and you have a little bit of profit left over, if any, because you're paying out contractors, obviously your own time, any sort of payroll, etc. Right? And so you end up having this kind of feast or famine kind of lifestyle where you get a client, you do the work, then you go back into hunting and fishing, trying to find the next opportunity, right? And so what I want to talk about is some things that you can be thinking about to really make your agency more scalable and more profitable. And really it's ties into what I believe is like the biggest opportunity right now for digital agency owners. And right now in the marketplace, you have yourself, which, say you're an agency owner, we'll say agency owners, and, I'll put in here people that, maybe you're a coach or a consultant and you do a lot of one-on-one, done for you, full service type work, right? And then you see over here, kind of the info person selling courses, etc., maybe memberships, right? And the funny thing is, we talk to all of these folks, so it's kind of interesting how you see this play out. But you have agency owners kind of on the right side looking at, course creators and all that stuff, kind of, hey, the grass is greener over there. Like there's people that are selling training and information and not having to do all of the work, and that sounds really nice. But you also have course creators and info marketers that are like, man, I'm tired of only selling courses for like $500, and I would love to be able to charge a lot more. I'd love to actually have a relationship with my clients, have something that is a little bit more intimate, where I can like assure that they're getting results. I forget the latest study that talks about course completion rates, but it's like less than 2% or something like that. And so there's a lot of people that are buying information, but they're not actually applying that information, right? And so, you're looking over at these guys saying, man, it must be nice, right? Agency owners are looking at the course people saying it must be nice, but little do you know that the course people are looking over at you and saying, hey, it must be nice, okay? So what really is the huge opportunity is that as a service provider, there's this bridge that I think we need to start crossing and starting to introduce some new opportunities. And on this bridge, you're going to find what we call the hybrid agency. Another term for that is, productized. And we want you to start to live right here on this bridge, because there is there is a happy middle between done for you services and online training and things like that, right? You can actually have the best of both worlds. And it's really starting to find this notion of, this hybrid agency. And that kind of leads me into the three things that you could be doing right now in your agency to, catapulting your revenue and really starting to add a layer of profitability, right? So thing number one is to, I'll say, kind of just develop kind of your core service, right? So right now, as an agency owner, many of you guys kind of serve a wide niche of people and have a wide array of services that you offer. You possibly have a service menu and you will say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, here are some of the things we can do. They'll cherry pick the things that they want, and then you go and you deliver it, right? You do that a handful of times and you have a unique solution for every new client, right? And a lot of times that has to do with the fact that you have a range of services and you serve a large variety of types of clients. You serve the dentist, the chiropractor, the digital agency, the online course creator, you help people in life coaching, all these different kind of avatars, right? And so developing a core service is really about niching down and narrowing your deliverables. And when you do both of these things in a way where you can sell an outcome, you actually become a problem solver, right? Instead of saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, I can do all of these things for you, in which case they're hiring you essentially as labor. They're looking at you to be hands to keyboard doing all the work. But I guess at some point in your career, you were hired because of what you knew, the thing that was in your head, right? There's a lot of experience there that enables you to do the things that you do so well for your clients, right? But at some point, it kind of tipped over and you just started doing a lot of the work for them and you became a glorified freelancer or, one of those agency owners that only really has one or two clients because they can't take on anymore because they're essentially like an outsourced marketing department for another company or a couple companies, right? So when you develop a core service, right, and this is really the nature of, productizing, selling, marketing, and delivering your services like a product, but they need to be outcome oriented. Like, what is the problem you are solving? What is the result that they're going to get when they go through your process, right? So we call this your proprietary process. When you have a proprietary process on how to take your client from, sad face to happy face, right? And that, hey, I have a whatever step process to get them there, you really start to develop the systems around that process, right? So instead of being, hey, we're full service and we do all of these things, the first way is to narrow down what it is you do to a core service offering. And that is your flagship product, whatever you want to call it, your signature service. This is the thing that you essentially can be leading with as your offering, right? And so people will pay you money for it. And they're going to pay you money based on the value that you can create for them, not necessarily the hours that you're working. Because right now, many of you are being paid for your time, which obviously there's only so much time that you have. And what you do for them probably yields a much larger return than what they're paying you. And so you want to start charging based on value creation, right? And when you have a core service that is geared towards solving a specific problem, ideally a valuable problem that your clients have, you have a really great flagship revenue stream that you're going to focus on, right? There's a lot of other benefits of having this that like streamline your marketing. Now you have systems. I have literally tons of other episodes on that topic about what to automate first and all that stuff. So definitely check out the YouTube channel and or listen on iTunes or any audio platform of your choice. But right now we're talking about kind of scalability from a revenue and a profitability perspective, right? So one, develop your core service. Then the second is really to start to introduce training. Now, I don't believe you should just introduce any sort of training, but if you have this proprietary process, right, you have this method that allows people to get a specific result. Well, guess what? As an agency owner, haven't there been prospects that you've spoken to that already had an internal team, so they didn't really need you, but they wanted what's in your head? This is where you start to monetize your intellectual property, right? So if you can extract everything that you do for your clients and start wrapping it into strategies and frameworks and training, you now have another revenue stream that you didn't have before, and you can now sell training, which is really interesting, right? Because having been in large agencies that represented big brands, we would get hired and they would say, hey, look, a part of what we're paying you to do is also to train our team so that we can bring it in-house. How many times has that happened to you, right? How many times has someone said, hey, I want you to show me how you're doing the thing you're doing so that my guy or gal internally can do it and then we don't need you, right? There is pretty much always a line where the company that's paying you as an agency will want to bring it in-house, and it's going to be more beneficial. So this allows you to start equipping them and enabling them to do that, which in many cases, after you either develop the core service or deliver the core service, they might want you for ongoing training to better train their people. Now they don't need to go get that C-level person or that really expensive person internally, because they have that outsourced. They have the strategy, the knowledge, the intellectual property outsourced into you, and your job is to transfer that knowledge back into their people, which are going to be more affordable. Think the labor, right? So this is kind of the best of both worlds for you. This really starts to bridge this gap and create this hybrid opportunity that we help our clients create, right? And so you're going to have training. Now, this could be workshops. This could be virtual. These can be events in some capacity. You could have clients fly to you. You could fly to clients and you could teach multiple clients at the same time, or you could go into an organization and teach departments, right? So adding this training layer is really a much more profitable revenue stream. So when you look at where we started, right? If you have this scenario over here, we're going to add just on this side, say you just bolted this on to your existing business. Whoops, I want to do this. Say you just bolted this on, right? So you have your current expenses, and now you have this new hybrid stuff that you're doing. That's going to be way more profitable than over here, right? So you could literally just bolt it on. And now you have a secondary offering that could come after you deliver your core service, or to some people that just didn't buy your core service because they really just wanted the information. Now, the last piece is coaching and consulting, right? This is very similar. It's similar to training, right? You still have your intellectual property. You could kind of bundle these together, but this is where you kind of have the opportunity for ongoing guidance, right? You can add on a coaching layer for 6 months or sometimes even 12 months. You see a lot of executives have this, executive coaching, right? You have ongoing guidance and coaching around what they're doing. Maybe you're not necessarily training people, but they're coming to you for new ideas and strategies and critiques and things like that, and you're giving them feedback, but then their team goes to implement, right? So in both of these cases right here, they do the labor, right? And you're getting paid for what's in your brain. So there's a huge opportunity to start adding these pieces into your agency to add a more profitable revenue stream, right? When we first started our agency, we only sold retainers, and that obviously had a limitation, right? One, because we could only serve so many people actively at one time, but there was a lot of clients that we didn't enroll and didn't bring into our agency because we didn't really have a need to serve them ongoing, but because they had internal staff, right? But they wanted what was in our brains, and there was no way for us to translate that to them until we came and started developing our own training and our own coaching stuff to add to the agency, right? Now, in another episode, I'll jump into kind of the progression here, because what we see is a lot of agencies that, like, again, you have this hybrid model that we've been talking about, and the opportunity is, look, well, you can kind of do the agency and add this on, or you could eventually evolve just into this hybrid altogether. You could eventually eliminate, your core service and only train and coach on it. Like that's a possibility depending upon your market, where you want to take your business, right? But right now, the way you do business is very hands-on, done for you, and often cases very generalized. If you want to add a more scalable opportunity, a scalable revenue stream, something that can be more systemized, streamlined, productized, you can start adding these other elements to your business, like training, coaching, and consulting. Okay, so those are 3 ways that you can now think about ways to make your agency a little bit more scalable and definitely more profitable by just taking that process that's in your head and developing it and delivering it in a different way.
If I gave you 5 to 10 new clients, would you or your agency break? If so, your current agency model is broken. I struggled with this too until I found a better way. By adding online programs, training, and coaching to our agency, we doubled profits without adding more hours. If you want to work directly with me and my team to transform your agency, visit myscalablebusiness.com to learn more.